Hello and welcome back to the accounting module. In this lesson, we will continue to review the remaining configuration options under the Configuration Settings menu. Let's start by clicking on the Accounting module from the main dashboard, click Configuration, Settings, and scroll down to the Stock Valuation section. General account properties define the default income and expense accounts for products and services. Any newly created product category will automatically inherit these default accounts, and in turn, products assigned to that category will also default to them unless specified otherwise. These accounts are used in sales invoices to record the revenue and costs. The Automatic Accounting section enables you to define the default stock accounts used in inventory movements. This setup ensures that your cost of revenue is recognized at the time of invoicing, rather than when the items are purchased. When checked, further account options are made available. The Stock Valuation account holds the value of purchased inventory on the balance sheet. Purchases are recorded as current assets instead of direct expenses. The Stock Journal defaults to the Inventory Valuation Journal, which captures all accounting entries related to stock movements. The Stock Input account is an interim account used as the counterpart in the stock entry when goods are received and a receipt is validated. Once the vendor bill is posted, it offsets this entry by booking the actual cost to the supplier payable and stock valuation. The Stock Output account is another interim account used as the counterpart in the stock entry when goods are delivered. Once the customer invoice is posted, it balances the entry, recognizing the cost of goods sold and reducing inventory accordingly. This automated accounting flow supports accurate and timely financial insights, particularly important for companies managing physical inventory. In Odoo 18, a new feature allows posting work in progress (WIP) values for manufacturing orders. This is particularly important for manufacturing businesses with long manufacturing lead times, where it is necessary to recognize the consumption of raw materials and operations in the balance sheet before the finished goods are completed. A WIP journal entry is posted to reflect these interim costs, and it should be automatically reversed on a defined date to ensure proper matching with the final production output. In this configuration, two key accounts are required. WIP account, to temporarily hold the value of raw materials and operations consumed during the production process. WIP overhead account, to record the cost of operations of labor applied to the manufacturing order. The accounts for components or raw materials will default to the stock account defined on the products category. These accounts collectively ensure accurate tracking of production costs and proper reflection in the balance sheet. The next configuration section is Bank and Cash. These settings allow a user to define the format of bank and cash statements that will be imported into the system. Although Odoo allows automatic synchronization of bank statements, there may be cases when the bank accounts may not be supported by Odoo. In this case, a user will need to import a statement via one of these methods: CSV, XLS, XLSX, OFX, QIF, CAMT. The next section is the fiscal period. The fiscal year field allows a user to set the fiscal year end date. This means the next day after the date set here will be considered the start of the new financial year, and therefore the profit and loss will be set to 0 and the profit and loss made during the year will automatically be rolled over to the balance sheet as undistributed profit or loss for previous year, automating the year-end process. With the fiscal year tick box, Odoo also allows a user to define unusual fiscal years, where the financial year is more than 1 year. This usually applies to companies that make the decision to change their financial year end date during a financial year. This means the current financial year runs more or less than a 12-month period. The invoicing switch threshold is a useful feature when Odoo has been used previously for non-accounting purposes. For example, let's say a company has been using the Odoo sales and purchase order modules but wants to use Odoo for accounting. Currently, the company has already generated several invoices related to customers and suppliers. Setting a threshold date here will allow Odoo Accounting to manage everything prior to this date as a legacy and clear the impact from the general ledger so Odoo Accounting can be used from scratch. The last option in this section is dynamic reports. With this box checked, standard reports such as balance sheet and profit and loss will update as filters are changed, allowing you to drill down into your figures. The next section is analytics, displaying the options to configure analytic accounting, budget management, and margin analytics. Analytic accounts, or to use another phrase, cost centers, can be used to track revenue and costs associated with categories such as a project, department, or employee. Budget management allows a user to set a predetermined template for accounting with budget figures and track them as and when they are actually incurred. Margin analysis allows running a margin report by product based on product margins found in invoices. Let's enable all the features, and we will review this in more detail in future lessons. The next section is reporting. Add totals below sections is a feature which adds a subtotal for the respective headers under financial reports. For example, let's review the balance sheet with this box checked. We can see there are subtotals in each section showing the total figures for this header. Odoo 18 has introduced the PEPPOL functionality. PEPPOL stands for Pan-European Public Procurement Online and is a standardized network used for the secure exchange of electronic documents, like invoices and orders, between businesses and governments across Europe and beyond. We will leave this disabled for the purpose of this lesson. The next section in accounting is Storno Accounting. Storno Accounting is a practice where you record negative debit-credit. For example, in a normal setup, when you reverse an invoice, the debtor account is credited and revenue account is debited. Under Storno, the credit notes still debits the debtor and credits the revenue, but with a negative sign. The practice is not recommended unless there is a specific reason to do so. The accounting firms mode enables quick encoding and editing of taxes and sequence number for customer invoices and/or vendor bills. As the title says, this feature is specifically meant for accounting audit firms who want to use Odoo to maintain their clients' accounts. Because we are not using Odoo as an accounting service provider, we will keep this disabled. The final configuration is for Audit Trail. This setting provides in-depth and dynamic statements, ensuring that any change in your accounting is directly visible, including stock moves, approvals of adjustments, and record modifications. This allows for a detailed audit to understand each value entered and ensures accounting journal entries cannot be modified or deleted without a proper log or restriction, enabling full traceability and compliance with accounting standards. We have now reviewed all of the settings under the Accounting Configuration menu. Why don't you head to the next lesson, where we will explore other options available under the Configuration menu. Thanks for watching, and until next time.